I'm the youth pastor here and head hype woman. That's what it says on my name tag. No, I'm just kidding. But I like that title because I kind of bring a little life up here. You know what I'm saying? I love Scotty, but we're two totally different people. And we've been going through a series about spiritual maturity and spiritual growth. And he spoke for 6 long weeks. Lord bless him. It's my turn. He's going to kill me for saying that later. But we're so glad that you're here this morning to start our brand new series called Seasons of Change. And we typically hate the word change, but I'm hoping to give you a little bit of positivity this morning about what you may be experiencing. Because if COVID has done one thing for us, it's definitely changed us, right? And sometimes we look at that as in a negative light. But hopefully I can give you some positivity this morning and you can start feeling good about yourself. All right? Does that sound good? We good for positivity? Yes, all right. So, like I said, we've been going through this series about spiritual growth. And I don't know if that changed a lot for you. For me, Scotty preached this awesome message about rest. And so I have been resting. Like I told Stephanie last night, I was in bed at 8:30. And I felt so good about it. You know, I'm like 27, finally like old or something. I don't know. But I slept real good. So I'm feeling real good this morning. All right, so after that, I had a conversation with my friend Cassie. If you don't know Cassie, she's on the camera over there. She's really awesome. Yeah, Robin's like, yeah, that's my friend. All right, so Cassie came into the bookshop. I work at the bookshop downtown. If you're ever bored or you just want a book, come say hi. But she came into my store, and we had this conversation about how we kind of feel that change is happening in our lives. And sometimes we outgrow the people that we're friends with. Sometimes we outgrow our environment. And so then that same night, no lie, I go to Scotty's house. It's me, Scotty, and Jarvis. If you don't know Jarvis, he did that really cool video just now. Didn't you love that? So cute. That's my brother Jarvis. But we all got together and we started talking about what we wanted our next series to be about. And we talked through a lot of things, and I said, you know what? I had this awesome conversation with Cassie today about change. And we've been talking about spiritual growth and spiritual maturity, and if you took those things to your heart, you're probably experiencing some change. Like my heart is well rested today. That's my change for today, right? So if we experience any spiritual growth from the last series, then we would be right in the middle of a season of change. So today I kind of want to hit the question right on. How do we deal with seasons of change? All right, how do we go through that process? What do we need to do? Because literally I hear that C word and I'm like, no thank you, I'm good. I don't need any part of that. I'm fine where I am. So we're going to get a little bit uncomfortable today because how do we deal with change is by counseling. Yeah, we got one vote. All right. Now, a lot of you, when I said that, I already see you shifted in your seat a little bit. Right? And I don't understand that. For some of us, when we hear the word counseling, we automatically get uncomfortable. All right? That's the other C word we don't want to talk about, change and counseling. All right? And I'm not here to tell you what you need to be counseled about. That's not my spiritual gift. All right? I'm not here for that. But we are going to talk through counseling a little bit because I do think it's helpful. All right? How many of you have ever been sick before and you had to go to the doctor? That's called counseling. All right? Your doctor doesn't come into the room and say, all right, here's a shot. I don't know what's wrong with you, but here's a shot. See ya. I'd be like, no, thank you. I don't want any of that, right? They counsel you through what your symptoms are. If you have a good doctor, if yours doesn't, it might be a good time to change. I don't know. All right? Or when your back is hurting. Recently, I hurt my back. I should have gone to the chiropractor, but I didn't. All right? But typically, when I walk into my chiropractor's office, he doesn't just slam me on the table and start popping me everywhere. All right? Because that would be painful. All right? That's uncomfortable. He counsels me through my symptoms. What's wrong with you? Why are you hurting? What did you do? Well, I was chasing my dog and she bull rushed me and she's 100 pounds. You know, like it could be something like that. Or one time I had to get a rib removed. Yes, they make doctors for this. I didn't just go to that doctor and he was like, all right, let me just take it out right here and there. Thank God he didn't, okay? He counseled me through what that was going to be like. When life gets crazy, I and you need a counselor. All right? Now, some of you probably really do need some therapy, but again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you that today. All right? But we need counselors in our life. Okay, think about your friends. Think about the people you go to when life starts to get a little bit, I don't want to go there. All right, so today I kind of want to talk through a little bit of what that counseling will look like. Now, I used to be an 8th grade U.S. history teacher, so today I'm going to talk about history. We okay with that? All right, I'm not going to bore you because I'm not one of those people. All right, so back during the times of the American Revolution, we broke free from England. I don't know if you had a cool history teacher like me. You may not remember any of it, okay? But I'm going to tell you today, Lord be with you, all right? So there's an American Revolution. We win as in America wins. We're now independent from England. We write a constitution. It sucks. We throw it in the trash, and we completely start over, all right? And when we start over, we decide we need a leader. All right. Now, if you don't know this, you need to go back to 8th grade because President George Washington is our first president. There you go. You learned something today. All right. And he decides, now this is a brand new position. We've never had one of these before. What the heck are we doing? So he decides what he's going to do is he's going to create a cabinet. And it's made of mahogany, just like his teeth, right? That's actually 2 lies I've told you today, all right? George Washington's teeth are not made of wood. We can have that conversation after the sermon if you'd like to know what they are made of. And the cabinet he created was not out of wood either. He wanted a cabinet of people to help him make decisions, all right? So if you've seen Hamilton the musical, which if you haven't, you should, all right? That's my one piece of advice today. He chooses Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton. Now, if you don't know anything about these people, they hate each other, all right? Alexander Hamilton is more the person, if the Constitution says you got to be 35 to be president, he's like, I'm good with 34 and a half, all right? He's a little bit of a looser type of guy. He's not a rule follower like myself, all right? Thomas Jefferson, on the other hand, we're best friends because he likes to follow the rules. If the Constitution doesn't say it, he's not doing it. So we've got these 2 people that hate each other, and George Washington's like, yep, this is going to be great. Why would Washington choose 2 people that don't get along to be in his cabinet? Doesn't make sense. You want to know why? He wanted good counseling. You ever been in a situation where all your friends always agree with you? Oof, right? I used to tell my students, like, if you all are my friends, which they violently claim that they are not my friends, okay? I used to say to them, let's pretend for 1 second that you're all my friends, and we decide to go rob a bank. I'm going to let you know right now we're going to get caught because I was Coach Vernon back then, because Coach Vernon ain't running, okay? So we're all going to get caught, and I'll feel guilty immediately, and then I'll rat all of you out because you're my friends. All right? I'm thankful for the good, accountable friends that I have in my life right now because I know Jordan isn't going to let me steal a cute puppy off the side of the road with its owner because that's not good. All right? That's stealing and that's bad. We as Christians, if you identify as a Christian this morning, we have the best counselor available. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. So there's this prophet in the Old Testament. His name is Isaiah, and these are the words that he wrote about Jesus. In Isaiah 9:6, he says, for a child is born to us. So he's kind of seeing into the future. He knows this is going to happen. God's given him a vision of what is going to happen. He says, a son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, Mighty God, Prince of Peace. Like literally, it says it in his name, Wonderful Counselor. And then we go to the New Testament and you see it time and time again. There's the woman at the well. There's the woman caught in adultery. There's his thick-skulled disciples who can't seem to learn anything. He's always being a good counselor. When seasons begin to change in our lives, our first counselor should be Jesus. I'm going to say that one more time because it feels like it didn't really sink in, all right? When seasons of change happen in our lives, our first counselor should be Jesus. Thank you. There we go. Now we're awake. All right. And the way we receive counseling from Jesus is through prayer. All right, so since 2019, I've been in a season of change. It's like the change does not stop in KV's life. All right, so in 2019, we as a church decided to do a prayer challenge for the first 40 days of 2019. And we had this book. It was called Draw the Circle. I don't know if many of you remember that, but I'm still drawing my circle in 2020. All right, the word, you're supposed to choose a word, or God was supposed to present you a word or maybe something for you to circle in prayer. Basically, you just continue to pray about it until it manifested. All right, and so what God showed me was the word surrender. Because there was a lot of things in my heart that I was unwilling for God to touch. And that sounds silly now on the other side of that, like, God is all knowing. He already knows. But there's a part of me that would shut God out of my life so he couldn't change the parts that needed to be changed, right? So surrender happened very slowly for me through prayer in Jesus, all right? So that was the beginning of 2019. God called me to quit my coaching job. I wasn't too mad about it because there's that whole rest and that 8:30 bedtime. I wasn't getting that with coaching, all right? God called me to surrender a lot of things in my life after that. And so I began to pray and just seek God, and over and over and over again, the one word that always came into, it almost felt like in my soul came to me was pastor. That's just what I kept hearing. And I knew it wasn't my voice because I'm obnoxious. Right? I know my inner voice. It's obnoxious. It's crazy. It's hyper. And that voice was soft and kind and gentle. All right? And so I don't know about you, but I know when the weather's about to change. You feel me? Like, whoo. When I was in high school, I was a catcher, and I hurt my knee real bad. So anytime it gets a little cloudy, my knee's like 100% of rain today. But sometimes my knee doesn't have good judgment, and so then my shoulders start to hurt a little bit. Like when it got to 60 degrees on Friday, my shoulder was like, okay, because I've had 2 ribs removed. But if that doesn't work, my elbow, I had surgery on my elbow, and then I broke my foot. Okay, I feel it everywhere. 100% of the time, I'm a walking weather woman. I miss my other calling, apparently. But when change started to happen in my soul, it's different. My knee didn't feel that change. My knee didn't say, KV, your soul is about to change. So in 2009, wow, that would have been long, 2019, my soul started whispering the word pastor to me. And I did what you all have probably been through. I ignored Jesus. And I can feel your judgment, and that's fine. But don't lie to me and say you've never ignored Jesus. Don't feel like you've never done this, because I know you have, because we're human. And I began to seek other counseling because I didn't like the answer I was getting. I'm a U.S. history teacher. I ain't no pastor. Oops. So today, I'm going to take us to a story in the Old Testament that kind of explains this situation a little bit more. All right, we're going to be in 1 Kings chapter 12. All right, we need a little bit of background information before we get soaked into here. All right, so King David was once king. All right, he's the one that defeated Goliath. He's the man after God's own heart. All right, he's died. His son, Solomon, becomes king. Now, Solomon is described as a harsh leader. He wasn't a very nice dude, and we'll talk about that in a second. He's going to die, and then his son is going to take over. His son is King Rehoboam. All right, why they give people crazy names in the Old Testament? Lord bless them. I spent like 20 minutes on Google Translate just hitting play. Can you pronounce this for me? I just did it over and over because I don't want to sound dumb. You know what I'm saying? All right, that's a side note. All right, so where we're beginning is where King Rehoboam is about to take over the kingdom, all right? So the leaders of Israel went to speak with Rehoboam. They said, your father was a hard master. Lighten the harsh labor demands and heavy taxes that your father imposed on us. Then we will be your loyal subjects. So you might have been through this before, right? You might have gotten a new boss. When I was in Brady for 4 years, we got 3 new superintendents. That tells you a lot about the kind of school district I work for. I love them, though. They're probably on this live stream, like, cussing me right now. But I love them. But we did go through a lot of leadership changes, right? And every time the new superintendent would come in, they would talk to us. They would want to know what's working, what's not working, what we like about our job, what we don't like our job. And then they would quit and somebody else would come in. All right, so this is what's happening with Rehoboam. There's these group of people, they've come to him and they're like, we didn't really like our old boss. He didn't let us wear jeans on Friday ever. If you let us wear jeans on Friday, we'll be nice. Sounds easy enough, right? So Rehoboam, he's a smart dude. He says, give me 3 days to think this over, then come back for my answer. So the people went away. That's a pretty smart decision. He doesn't make a decision that's going to change anything that day. So I thought that was pretty smart. Like, that's something that a smart dude would do. All right, so then King Rehoboam discussed the matter with the older men who had, there's our word, counseled his father Solomon. So this is pretty interesting. He's going to the dudes that his father had around him. Now, remember, his father's not a good dude. So we could be getting two sides of advice here. Are we going to get good advice or bad advice? You know, it's a little strange. This is what they say. What is your advice, he asked them. How should I answer these people? The older counselors replied, if you are willing to be a servant to these people today and give them a favorable answer, they will be your loyal subjects. Listen, dude, if you'll just let them wear jeans on Friday, they're going to like you. All right, that's as simple as it is. If you'll just listen, King Rehoboam, they're going to like you. But here's the thing. What do we do when we don't like our advice? We reject it. All right, just like I ignored Jesus earlier. But Rehoboam rejected the advice of the older men. And instead, he asked the opinion of the young men who had grown up with him and were now his advisors. We don't know anything about the young men. Could they have some leadership? Maybe. Could they be really good dudes? Maybe. We have no idea. Now, if you know any story about the Bible, they're probably not good dudes, all right? He said, what is your advice? How should I answer these people who want to lighten the burdens imposed by my father? So he's kind of getting two sides here. He's doing what we would do, asking for advice. The young men replied, this is what you should tell those complainers. All right, so if the young men are already calling the people that he's leading complainers, this is probably not going to end too well. All right, this is not the advice that we would want to make a good life decision. They said, this is what you should say. My little finger is thicker than my father's waist. Yes, my father laid heavy burdens on you, but I'm going to make them even heavier. My father beat you with whips, but I will beat you with scorpions. Man, I ain't ever been bit, stung, beat by a scorpion, but it sounds terrible. Like, are they giant? Like, are they like, what? I don't get it. You know, like, you just go there, right? So, I don't think we need to discuss what's going to happen. I think you can understand. King Rehoboam is actually going to choose this advice. He's literally going to tell the people that he's leading that I'm going to beat you with scorpions. I'd be like, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't sound good to me. But in other news, now you have a really great comeback to people who make you mad. Oh, yeah? Well, my little finger is thicker than your father's waist. All right? If that happens to you, you should probably go to a doctor immediately. All right. Older men that gave advice, they had the experience. They gave good, godly counsel. They had seen what had happened if you're harsh with the people. Now, we don't know a whole lot about the older men. I didn't give you any background information. So maybe they were the ones that were making King Solomon be mean. Maybe they were influencing him to do that. We don't know. But what you need to know is that through their experience, they were able to give really solid, good, godly counsel. The young advisors were power hungry. That's how their pinky got so fat, I guess, with power. They gave terrible counseling. And so when I made the decision that I was going to ignore Jesus' advice and seek other counseling, I experienced both of these. And you know what? I related most to the young advisors. There were people in my life that were literally like, you are making a bad decision, right? Because it's a risk. First of all, I'm a woman, and that's risky to become a pastor if you're a woman. Let's just say it as it is. All right? That's a bit risky, but it's also risky to quit your good, awesome paying job that you're super great at to come do something that you have no idea if you're good at. All right? So a lot of people in my life told me, this is a bad decision. You're crazy. You know what? Yep, I am. But then there were other people in my life, the good, godly counsel, that over and over again, they're like, you know what? Yep, I see that. You know what, KV? If God gave you that word, you can't ignore it. You know what, KV? I think you'd be pretty good at it. Over and over and over again, my godly counsel told me things I did not want to hear. You want to know why? Because they told me the same thing Jesus dang did. Hate when that happens, right? It's important that we surround ourselves with good, godly counsel. Who's influencing your decisions? If it's not good, godly counsel, it's not good decisions. But it's important that you know those in your life that give you good, godly counsel. And here's how I know. All right, here's how I know if people are giving me good, godly counsel. If they ain't praying for me, they ain't my godly counsel. Right? I know this is grammatically correct on the screen, but something about the ain't word just makes you feel powerful, you know? If they aren't praying for me, they don't get to speak into my life. If they aren't praying for me, I don't want to hear from them. And that sounds kind of harsh, right? Because you probably have those friends in your life that don't pray for you. They aren't Jesus followers, or maybe they don't have a good prayer life. But if they're not praying for you, they should have zero say in your decisions in your life. Can I still go to them for advice? Sure, absolutely. I'm not saying that you can't consult everybody in the whole world. We're doing this series in youth called What to Do When You Don't Know What to Do. And one of the answers is you Google it. Sure, Google it. But there's a lot of people on Google that don't know Jesus. Now here's the important part. Can you go to them for advice? Yes, absolutely. Google away. I always Google my dog's symptoms when she's throwing up, you know? Yep. Do I base my decisions on what their advice is to me? No. Now, can they be a factor? Sure. Can it be helpful, good advice? Sure. Do I base my whole decision on what those people say to me? Nah. I think that makes me even more crazy. So there are 2 steps to take in a season of change. You got to seek Jesus first. And I don't know what that looks like for you. For me, sometimes I get so caught up in the formality of prayer and how I have to pray that it means absolutely nothing to me. When we did that 40-day prayer challenge, I learned that prayer is just a conversation with God. It's just talking. I talk out loud all the time. I'm an only child, so there was never a brother or sister say that's a great idea, so I got to talk it out loud. You know those people, right? It's me. All right? It's just a conversation to have. It's just a conversation. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to say amen. It doesn't have to say dear God. It could be angry. It could be frustrating. You just got to seek Jesus first because he's the best counselor we got. He's not going to lead you astray. And then, number 2, seek godly counsel from peers. Remember, if they're not praying for you, there's no way that they can give you godly counsel. And I don't know what you're going through this morning. I don't know what kind of season of change that you've been in lately. Maybe you haven't been in change. Maybe you feel comfortable right now. I hope you get to feel a little bit uncomfortable because Jesus doesn't call us to be comfortable. But I want to encourage you this morning that maybe it's a good time to start looking at your friends, the people that counsel you. Maybe your change is, you know what? I'm going to start getting some godly people in my life. Maybe that's your change. Maybe your change is, you know what? I've never talked to Jesus a day in my life. I'm going to start doing it. You know, there's no time restraints with talking to Jesus. Sometimes we have a minute conversation. Sometimes I'm in the shower for an hour and a half with Jesus. And my water bill rockets, right? But that's how it happens. I don't know where you are today. I don't know what you're dealing with. I don't know the changes that are going to occur for you. But I just want to encourage you this morning that you seek Jesus first. Don't ignore him. Don't do what I did. It took me a year and a half to finally convince myself that I was ready to move where God had called me to do. There's no judgment there. At least I did it, right? Number 2, seek godly counsel from peers. Get you some good people in your life. Man, this church is full of God-loving people. We're called Brownwood Community Church for a reason, because we have a community. And I know when I tell Stephanie that I need prayer, she's going to pray for me. And you know what? A week later, I can go and ask her my advice, and I know that it's good, godly counsel because I asked her to pray for me. Maybe it's taking that first step of saying to someone, I need prayer. I don't know about what yet. I know change is coming. My bum knee be telling me that change is coming. But I don't know when and I don't know how, but I need prayer. Find you someone, man. If it's me, man, I love to pray. I'm in the shower all the time. You ask Katie, I take like 5 showers a day because I just love to pray. It's the one time in my life that I'm completely alone. And you're the most vulnerable, let's be real, right? Going back to Adam and Eve, right? Man. So we're going to be in this series. Today was week 1. We're going to be in this series for 5 more weeks. So get ready because we want to equip you. What do you do when change happens? You seek Jesus first. Let's pray. God, I just thank you for the opportunity. Seek you first, Lord. I thank you for the opportunity to love each other the way that you loved us. God, and I just pray for anyone experiencing massive change in their lives, God, that they seek you first. That you put good, godly counselors in their life to help them navigate where to go next, where to turn next. And I pray, God, I pray against the devil trying to make them feel uncomfortable. I pray against them ignoring you. I pray for peace in their lives, God. Lord, we just thank you for today and who you are. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, y'all look at your watches. It's 11:48. Sucka. Scotty had us here till 12:05 last week. Y'all have a great lunch. Don't forget, Breaking Free class tonight, 5 p.m. You don't want to miss it. I think some good things are going to happen. Thank you guys so much. Y'all have a great week.